I think it's pretty egregious what's been happening to us the last few games. A minus 31 free throw discrepancy. And I might be able to understand it if we were just chucking threes, but we're not. We're attacking the rim. And the disrespect right now for our team has been pretty unbelievable. So it's disappointing.
In the world of professional sports, there's an unwritten rule, a silent understanding that the game isn't just played between the lines. You don't just play against the team in front of you, you play against the moment, the crushing weight of pressure, and sometimes the referees. It's a variable that every athlete learns to live with. But what happens when that variable stops feeling random? What happens when a series of unfortunate calls starts to feel like a pattern, and a pattern starts to feel like a script? What happens when a playoff series, the pinnacle of competition, stops feeling like a test of skill and starts feeling like a coronation, with the outcome seemingly decided before the final buzzer? For the Indiana Fever, this wasn't just a paranoid question whispered in the locker room. It was the brutal, infuriating reality playing out on a national stage. And their coach, Stephanie White, a former player who knows the game's soul, wasn't just gonna stand by and watch her team's heart get ripped out. She was about to light a fire that could expose the WNBA's dirtiest secret, a wound that has been festering just beneath the surface for far too long.
It's disappointing, that it doesn't go both ways, or it hasn't gone both ways. But we also can't allow that to consume us, right? Like, we've got to be able to play through that. We've got to be able to control the things that we can control.
It all boiled down to one moment, a single sequence so brazen it perfectly captured the absurdity of the entire series. We're in Game 3, a pivotal contest in the semifinals where every possession feels like it could tip the scales. Indiana's anchor, the formidable Aaliyah Boston, gets whistled for a questionable foul on the Aces' Jackie Young. It's a 50-50 call at best, the kind that could swing momentum violently. Instantly, from the sideline, Stephanie White signals for a coach's challenge. Her arm shoots up, the bench is ready, the fans hold their collective breath. This is the exact reason the review system was implemented, to correct obvious errors in critical moments. But in a bizarre, almost surreal twist, the officials just ignore her. They turn their backs, acting as if the frantic coach waving her arms just feet away is invisible. They refuse to even acknowledge the request. Seconds later, before anyone can process the snub, Chelsea Gray gets the ball in the corner and drains a soul-crushing three-pointer. The game is flipped on its head. It wasn't just a missed call or a human error, it was a refusal to even look. A door slammed shut on the very concept of fairness.
Steph, why don't you think you were able to find any flow? And when that was the case, what are you trying to do to jumpstart things, maybe on the defense?
Well, it's hard for us to find flow when there's a foul call every 10 seconds. I mean, it just really is. And when they're at the free throw line, we can't get up and down the floor. And that's a challenge. They were much more aggressive and physical defensively. We didn't counter that with our off-ball actions or with our back cuts. So they took us out of our comfort zone. I mean, offense is about rhythm. It's about timing. It's about spacing. We allowed them to do that, and they kept us from doing it.
By game 2, it was undeniable. The whistles didn't just appear, they dictated.
What had been a hard-fought Indiana lead, earned with every ounce of grit and sweat, was erased. Not by a brilliant play, but by a decision the referees wouldn't even allow to be questioned. The crowd at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, which had been roaring with hope just moments before, erupted into a unified chorus of boos and disbelief. They knew what they had just seen. This wasn't a simple mistake. This felt deliberate. This whole mess started after Game 1. Remember, the Fever were the massive underdogs who went into the champion's house in Las Vegas and did the unthinkable. They won. They went off script. From that moment forward, it felt like the league's producers were desperately trying to get their story back on track. The whistles started blowing with a strange and undeniable rhythm, a rhythm that always seemed to benefit the team in black and silver. The free throw discrepancy began to swell, eventually reaching a staggering minus 31 for the Fever over a few games. As Coach White would later point out, that number is indefensible. It wasn't because Indiana was settling for jump shots. They were attacking the rim relentlessly, only to be met with a wall of silence from the officials. The heist was on.
A'ja Wilson is 1 for 12 as a foul is called on Boston, and that will be number 2 on Aaliyah Boston.
You saw Indiana picking up full court pressure defensively, and if you're Aaliyah Boston, that's the one spot on the floor you do not want to get a foul called.
And Stephanie White is trying to challenge it and did not call the timeout in time. Gray in the corner. Connects.
2-minute recap from last night. So Asia Wilson pushes Howard in the back. Howard pushes her in the back. It's a foul on Howard. Look at this. Aaliyah Boston gets totally fouled by Nalissa Smith. Like, it's obvious, but no call. And then Asia Wilson gets the call for not half as much. And then Nalissa Smith gets the call for not even getting touched. Here's a replay just to prove it to you. Yep, didn't get touched.
Amidst this officiating circus, a warrior emerged from the Indiana sideline. Lexi Hull, a player whose quiet tenacity and sheer resilience became the living, breathing symbol of the Fever's entire fight. After suffering a painful back injury in Game 1, her status was a constant question mark. She was listed as questionable for every subsequent game, and watching her in warm-ups was a painful sight. Her movements were stiff, her expression a mask of discomfort. It seemed like she'd be lucky to play a few token minutes, to just be a body on the floor. But Hull didn't just play, she put the team on her aching back. She waged a one-woman war not just against the Las Vegas Aces, but against her own body and the crushing circumstances of the game. She became the antithesis of the controversy. Where the game felt manufactured and unfair, her effort was the purest, most undeniable thing on the court.
Follow it up by Lexi Hull getting called for the foul.
I thought it was egregious, honestly. I mean, I thought it was obvious. I felt like AB got one, had one going to the rim. They're in rotation. And then Lexi's, I felt like equally, we talk about, coming into the path, and it was an offensive player veering into the defensive player's path.
Lexi, you have drawn the most offensive foul in the W this year, including the playoff. How are you able to do that?
I'm just trying to defend as hard as I can, and there's only certain screens you're allowed to set, so just trying to trail them, and that's all I can really say.
In the middle of the chaos, with phantom whistles threatening to suck all the air out of the building, Hull delivered the best and gutsiest playoff performance of her career. She finished with 16 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks, and a steal. She drained 3 massive three-pointers, each one a jolt of pure oxygen for her team, and the fans, a defiant roar in the face of injustice. But what made her performance so legendary wasn't just the stat line, it was how she earned every single number. Every possession was a battle. We saw her dive for loose balls, grimacing in pain as her injured back hit the hardwood. We saw her box out players bigger and healthier than her, sacrificing her body for crucial rebounds. She was the embodiment of everything the Fever stood for, underestimated, overlooked, but absolutely refusing to break. And that's what makes the story so tragic. On the same night that Lexi Hull played the game of her life, the conversation wasn't about her courage, it was about the controversy. The spotlight that should have been celebrating her incredible heart was stolen by questionable officiating.
Boston has the mismatch on Lloyd. Help comes. Kick out. Hull will fire. And hit from 3. Last 2 positions inside from Indiana. Smith tied up by Hull. And a jump ball between Smith and Hull.
On the left side of the floor, just a clear out, letting Jackie Young go to work.
Jackie Young with 17 points. Boston to the corner. Hull, catch, fire, and hit. Correct call. Evans dishes. Ray whips a pass inside. What a denial from Lexi Hull.
The Hull able to save the play.
12-point game, a little under 2.5 to go. Hull hits Indiana's first field goal of the quarter.
Now let's look at the other side of the coin. While Lexi Hull was playing through excruciating pain to keep her team alive, the league's reigning MVP, the face of the WNBA, Aja Wilson, was having one of the worst offensive nights of her storied career. After hitting a three-pointer to open the game, it looked like she was poised for a dominant night. Instead, she went completely ghost. For nearly 3 full quarters, the MVP couldn't buy a basket. By the time the dust settled, she had limped to a dreadful 6 for 20 shooting performance for just 13 points. For a player of her caliber, it was an abysmal showing. The reason for her struggle was simple. Aaliyah Boston. Possession after possession, Boston put Wilson in a defensive straitjacket. She walled off the paint, contested every shot, and forced the MVP into a series of awkward contested fadeaways and mid-range prayers. It was a defensive masterclass, a clinic on how to neutralize a superstar. When a player shoots just 30% from the field on 20 attempts, it's not just an off night, it's a shutdown.
Back to hole, wide open three is good.
The floor that she wants, doesn't it?
It does. Mitchell, cut it. Here's Mitchell. Mitchell, one more. You bet.
Offensive foul, practically a football check, and the Aces score. So now the Aces cut it to 2, and then Asia Wilson sets an illegal screen, and they tied things up. And then Lexi Hall gets called for a foul for doing nothing when they just had 2 illegal screens they didn't call. All right, so this is fair. Same thing happens on the other side, but they don't call a foul for Kelsey Mitchell. So Leah Boston gets called for this foul for getting her arm grabbed, but Stephanie White can't challenge. They won't let her. That's the second time this game they didn't let her have her challenge. And then Asia Wilson starts acting like a big baby.
This is where the frustration for Fever fans truly boils over into righteous anger. Even as their star player was being completely neutralized by Aaliyah Boston's suffocating defense, the Aces walked away with the win. How is that possible? Because they didn't need their MVP to play like one. They had a supporting cast that stepped up, and more importantly, they had the unwavering, almost unconditional support of the officials. Jackie Young was brilliant, dropping 25 points and silencing Fever rallies with dagger jumpers. Chelsea Gray was calm and steady, but the real story was the constant stream of whistles that served as a safety net. The Aces lived at the free throw line, getting bailed out time and time again, while Indiana's drives to the hoop were met with silence. Making matters worse, Aces coach Becky Hammon had the audacity to complain that Wilson only shot 1 free throw, a statement so tone-deaf it was insulting. It was a masterclass in gaslighting. Indiana did their job perfectly. They shut down the MVP, and they still lost because the game wasn't being played on a level field.
And then here we go. She gets a foul call with a 3-point game for, I don't know why they called that foul, but it's the third quarter and they want them to win. So here we go. Aces up by 3. They call another foul for Asia Wilson that isn't a foul. All right, so then they call another foul on the Fever that isn't a foul. And then to end the game after it's out of control, because the Fever had a 6-point lead, but they kept calling fouls, another foul for Asia Wilson that's not a foul. Ball don't lie. Asia missed 11 shots in a row during this game.
2 as well.
Here's Hull. Working behind Boston. Boston was open. Great take, and Boston lays it in.
This brings us back to Stephanie White. After the game, she walked into the press conference not as a defeated coach offering tired cliches, but as a woman who had finally had enough. She wasn't there to make excuses. She was there to speak a truth that everyone in the arena and everyone watching at home already knew in their gut. She didn't just complain about the calls, she called for a full-scale league-wide investigation into the state of WNBA officiating. It was a stunning moment of raw honesty. "I think it's pretty egregious what's been happening to us the last few games," she said, her voice laced with a mix of exhaustion and controlled fury. A -31 free throw discrepancy. The disrespect right now for our team has been pretty unbelievable. This wasn't just a coach complaining about a loss. This was a direct challenge to the integrity of the league itself. A brave act that could come with fines and repercussions, but a stand she felt she had to take for her players.
Thought she got hit a lot tonight. To shoot 1 free throw in 38 minutes. I know they told me not to say anything, but I can't.
I think it's pretty egregious what's been happening to us the last few games. A -31 free throw discrepancy. And I might be able to understand it if we were just chucking threes, but we're not. We're attacking the rim. And the disrespect right now for our team has been pretty unbelievable. So it's disappointing.
Here's Boston, back to Hull. Sets herself up. Mitchell is free, laying it in. Been a while since Mitchell has gotten a shot attempt. Mitchell will get one here. That's it.
Stephanie White's demand is so much bigger than one playoff series. It comes at a critical juncture for the WNBA, a league experiencing an unprecedented surge in popularity, largely thanks to players like Caitlin Clark and the passionate new fan base the Fever have cultivated. Millions of new eyes are on the product, and what are they seeing? They're seeing a league where the defending champs seem to get every benefit of the doubt, where underdogs are punished for playing tough, and where the rules feel flexible. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert has remained silent, likely hoping the storm will pass. But Stephanie White just turned that storm into a hurricane. By demanding a public investigation, she has forced the league into a corner. If they ignore her, the message to millions of fans is clear: the league doesn't care about fairness. It only cares about protecting its chosen stars and its preferred narratives. This is an existential threat to their growth. You can't sell competition and deliver a coronation. So what do you think? Is this just a case of simple bad officiating? Or is this a glimpse into the soul of the WNBA? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And if you want to see more stories that go beyond the headlines, make sure to like this video and subscribe. Thanks for watching.